Welcome back to the Student Hub Live. Well, in this last section about exams and EMAs, we're going to focus on all the key things you need to know. And I'm joined by Dudley and Jill. Dudley's in our student support team, so I bet loads of people are phoning you up right now and asking you various things. And Jill was here before with her lovely box of chocolates and is a staff tutor and works in childhood and youth studies. Now, we've got loads and loads of questions, loads to go through. So some of them we can take our time with, others we're going to have to be super quick on. But one thing that students have been saying is that they don't want to take their exams because they don't think they're ready. And if they're going to fail, what can they do? So.
Right. That's like the hardest question, isn't it? Like, it's like, I'm not ready, I'm not prepared. What, you know, I feel like I'm in a really bad position. What is there? And I think sometimes you got to think, like, well, what's making you feel that way? Where's that coming from? You know, is it from the way in which you haven't done too well on your TMAs previously, and that you're not feeling prepared? Is there people you can speak to? Is there support you can reach out to? Be it your tutor group forums. You know, what's really the crux of that problem? Hopefully, as we talk about through more things, we'll work out maybe what's really causing that anxiety, and if there's certain things that are going on, then perhaps there's.
But fear of failure is a massive thing. I mean, what happens if you fail?
Well,
it does depend on the extent to which you fail. And what the circumstances are that have led up to that. Because if you have put in, for example, a special circumstances form because you've had trauma during the course of your study, and therefore that's impacted on your ability to study and the amount of time that you've had to study, then that will be taken into consideration. And each module is a little bit different. There will be a threshold that you would need to achieve in order to be offered a reset.
So you can reset?
You can reset, absolutely.
Or resubmit if it's an EMA as well.
Yeah.
Okay, but if you answer the question and have a go at it,
yes.
How likely is it then that you would fail?
That's a million-dollar question. Unless there is something that has really affected your study, your progress towards your study, then my recommendation would be to have a go, even though you're feeling very nervous and very apprehensive, and to try and prepare for that as much as possible. So to do your revision, to have a word with your tutor, to speak to your tutor about it, to have a one-to-one perhaps with your tutor if you're really, really anxious and really nervous. He or she may be able to give you exam strategies for revision and for revising. So I would definitely suggest have a go.
Okay. All right. Who can help then with your exam preparations at the Open University?
First point of call, I would say your tutor. Go to your tutor first of all. And then there, of course, is a wealth of exam support material, like these kind of sessions that you've been running here, but also online as well, on the Study Skills website as well. There's a whole range of materials too.
But when do you decide when that's a good use of time? Because we've been focusing on having strategies and really focusing our time effectively, because I can get lost in some of these things, especially the Student Hub Live YouTube channel. Hours on end I can spend there. But, you know, there is so much information. How do you filter then and figure out when you might need that help and when you might not?
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about an exam, there will be past papers that you'll be able to have a look at. So I think that's the first starting point, to see what am I going to be faced with, what's the sort of question I'm going to be asked, and then to go back through your own TMAs and the comments that your tutor has made throughout your study and see where perhaps your weak areas are, but where your positive areas are as well, and try to build a plan from that, a strategy from that.
It's finding out what works for yourself.
Yes.
It's working out, right, I know that this is the amount of knowledge that I'll need, and if I go in with this amount of knowledge, I'll feel with these, I'm prepared for this amount of questions. So that means if any of these possibilities come up, I'm okay, I'm gonna be good enough to go into that. And I think then it's working out how best do I work? Do I work well with others? Is there, students in my tutor group forum or fellow people that I can, create little study buddies with?
I think is a very good idea. Yeah, actually talking with your fellow peers as well. Yeah, I mean, a strategy that I used to use. I used to like to develop I'm very visual. I used to like to develop a spreadsheet. And on one side, I would have all the
It
themes.
started so well there for me.
I used to have, well, it hasn't got to be a spreadsheet. You can just have it on a piece of paper. It can just be a form of brainstorming if you wish. But I would put down all the themes, all the ideas, what we were talking about earlier, all those things that made up your module throughout the course of your study, and then where your evidence for those might come in, so that you're sort of cross-referring, so that you go in with a bit of a picture, you go into your exam with a bit of a picture in your mind of what could potentially come up in the question, and you've got a bit of an idea of what evidence from your module you can start to draw and start to use in your answers.
Okay, and it's all about being kind to yourself and managing some of this stress. In fact, do you know, I've had a whole host of smoothies in here all day, and we haven't even touched them because we've been so busy getting on with work. I shall offer you one now.
I know. Why can't we have some over here? We've got space for a globe.
Absolutely.
Listen, you two, you can tell us some of the advice people have got about being kind to themselves and about nourishing and rewarding yourself with healthy alternatives.
Well, there's been a lot of talk about cat caves. So in the previous session, we talked about my husband's magic man cave, that when if he gets stuck when he's revising, he goes out there and fresh space, fresh scenery, fresh rethinking, and it's a magic cave for him. And so we've got someone who's going, Sarah said she's got a cat cave. The electricians are right now putting the power in as she speaks. And M says that he's going to have a new cave put in this summer so that he can clear all of his clutter because he's a messy student and put it somewhere neatly. And I just a couple of weeks ago went to a shop near here and got a lovely new organizational unit, very tall with drawers. And I've put all of my studies module in there, and we've reclaimed our dining room.
And I know Kelvin said that cats are also very supportive. They're very good cheerleaders for your study, aren't they?
Oh,
I've never had a
absolutely.
cat criticise my study, so I agree with that.
That is a very good point, actually.
All those smoothies.
It's really important, though, to draw the support networks that are around you, like friends, family, to water and feed you, you know, while you're going through your study, to come into your cave with that glass of whatever.
Well, I think Michelle takes it a bit far myself with the bowel. My husband won't fall for any of that nonsense, but yeah. Yeah, see? All I'm saying is
Food needed.
we've got smoothies. Right. I have some quick fire questions. We're going to need to have your Q&A things. Right. Because we're going to have to try and get some of these through quite quickly. Right. What colour ink can you use? Can you use any colour ink?
No. Blue or black?
Okay, limited, but it does include my favourite pen.
Yes.
Right, can I find out everything I need to know about my exam online?
Yes. On the module website, yeah, and in the assessment handbook.
Okay.
Are the two
And past papers.
Important one here, can I use the toilet during my exam?
Yes. Your invigilator can escort you. Or an invigilator could take you, not literally.
These are quick
Guide you,
questions.
yes.
Well, actually, they do. And don't be frightened to ask your invigilator when you're in the room as well. I know some students are a bit nervous about putting their hand up, but don't sit there uncomfortable. Do ask. And yes, you will be escorted to the door, I hasten to add.
Only, yeah.
Okay, should I arrive early to my exam?
Yes.
Yes. 15 minutes, I'd say.
Okay.
At least that.
Yeah.
If there's parking problems, check it out the night before or the day before.
Do a
so that
drive-by.
Absolutely, so you know where you're going to park. I finished up in funeral directors once when I was attending an exam because I couldn't get into the car park, and he very kindly said, "You can park in here."
So you must have been mortified.
Absolutely.
And probably would have preferred to do your exam and go over the road.
Yeah.
Okay, do I need to bring ID to my exam?
Yes.
What sort?
Picture ID.
Something with a
and
picture.
something with your signature on it
with
as well.
signature.
They're the two most important ones. So passport,
absolutely.
driving
Okay,
licence.
good. Will I be escorted to my seat in the exam centre?
No. Yeah, there should be like a picture or something on the wall so you can see where your seats are, and then you make your own way
Yes,
there.
and there will be a card with your number on it. So you would go to that seat because that card will indicate your seat.
And there's plenty of time, I guess, to get everyone seated and
Yes.
stuff before
Yes.
you start. Okay. Can I take my exam question paper away?
No.
Why not?
I don't know the answer for that. Well, I do probably know the answer for that. It could be down to, because if you're going to have resits and that sort of thing, there's the plagiarism issue and security and all of that. So so the answer to that is no, you can't take it away. And obviously, and not to make any notes of about what...
But you'll remember the question because you'll
But
have
you-
focused so much on it.
Absolutely.
Mentally take it away.
It
would
will,
you?
it will.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I leave the exam if I finish early?
Yes. You can't leave in the first 30 minutes
yeah.
or the last 15 minutes.
Yeah. And are you enjoying the smoothies, by the way?
Let's-
They're lovely, aren't they?
What flavour?
Well, I'm not sure because we had to take all of the labels off. But I have gone for the green healthy option. And I think yours is
I
a
think there's
banana and
passion-
strawberry.
Yes.
Passion fruit. It's lovely.
And it's really healthy. I think that bit of sugar really helps. In fact, what I often take into my these are some of the things I take into my exam. So I always have like a shawl or something really because I get cold and I like having something that feels really snug. So I'll often have something like this that I'll put around. And then I always take some food as well. And I have a student hub live tuna sandwich here, which is very nice because I always think fish helps you remember stuff. So I think that's an excellent choice to take into an exam.
Well, certainly go comfortable. So wear something comfortable, wear comfy shoes and something to keep you warm. I think it's true because when you're nervous, you can kind of be a bit chilly, even if it's a
Yeah.
warm day. But food-wise, do be careful it's not noisy food. So
That's not noisy.
That's not noisy, that's fine. That's
I could eat
absolutely fine.
that. But it might smell a bit.
Yeah, that's the only thing, yes. Especially if it is a hot day.
It's about your comfort, but it's also about other people's comfort.
yeah.
Yes, good point.
What would happen then? Would you be told off?
It could potentially be taken away, yes, because if it was creating a bit of an odour in the room, that yes.
Okay. Other questions. Can I appeal against my results?
Yes, but there's very strict criteria for it. So when you get your exam result, there will be a list there. So for instance, if you get your exam result and you see the questions, there's 3 questions on the paper, and one of the questions you got 0, and you're like, I know I answered that question, then you would have then grounds for appeal. They may have missed it. So that would be like one example. So there is some criteria, but yeah, it's very strict.
Okay. So what are you allowed to bring into an exam then? If you're not allowed this tuna sandwich.
So I also carry clear pencil case or wash bag
Not
that can be
stuffed
used
with
as a pencil case. Yeah, no notes.
Yeah.
No notes. Depending on the exam, you can find things on the handbook. So certain exams may have certain things. So it's worth.
Books are allowed,
Can I just roll
actually.
your sleeves up
Exactly.
so I can check your arms, they shall say.
So like you at least want 2 pens at the very
Yes.
least in case one runs out. You can probably take a ruler, pencil. If it's a calculator paper, obviously you want your 1980s musical calculator on silent.
Silent, yes.
Obviously. And rulers and highlighters is another thing. So those are like the main things, like stationery that you think you can use, especially if you've got like a case study exam or an exam with an extract.
Yeah.
You might want to take things as highlight it as you read and then write your questions afterwards. So this is what I sort of bring.
Okay.
Mobile phones, handbags, coats, jackets, briefcases, anything like that will be left at the front of the room.
In one big pile.
One big pile,
To
yes.
find afterwards. Okay. And how much do you think you can get through food-wise in an exam? How much food should you take?
Assuming you're not spending most of the time eating.
I think
Picky snacks, things that you just want to
I
pick
think
at.
sort of like boiled sweets, things that you can sort of suck and that are and lubricate your mouth because you're inclined to get a bit dry as well when you're concentrating and focusing. And also I noticed with one of the earlier sessions, someone said a really good tip, and that is to practice writing.
Yeah.
We're not used to writing
No.
for 2 hours, 2.5 hours, 3 hours, whatever. We're not used to doing that, so that's a really good thing to do.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's see what people at home said in terms of what support they would like for their exams. Google, right?
Sorry.
Notes from lectures, using a computer, tutor next to me, exam extension breakdown. Any of these DSA, any of these possible?
Well, not to take in with you, no. But yes, certainly as part of your revision, then yes, notes from, and there will be, of course, your tutor will be running either an EMA or an exam session. So yes, guidance, we'll be giving lots of guidance on that.
With notes before the exam, you've got to know what's right for you, because initially I thought, it's a really good idea to take stuff that I'll read 10 minutes before I go in. And then you go in and then all you can remember is that. And suddenly you've pushed all the knowledge that you had spent weeks revising to the back of your mind, because all you've got is that 5 minutes of say that line, say the line, say the line, say the line, sit down. I've written down the line and now I'm like, so
cards are quite useful, actually.
Those are
cards.
super useful.
That's an interesting one, that notes from my tutors come up there, because I often find that there's a very high level of value associated with things, especially I've heard about people on Facebook swapping notes and things. My tutor gave me this, my tutor gave me that. But in actual fact, your own notes are far better than something from a tutor.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, making your own notes. So going through your TMA, your past TMAs, going through some of the, usually in the modules, at the end of each section or unit, there will be a summary. So going through all of those, and that will be picking out the key things of that particular unit or section.
Okay. Now, we've spoken before about the special circumstances form, but just very briefly, because we're near the end of the show now, and I've got 3 more questions I want to cover. If people haven't been able to revise properly, what is the special circumstances form and what does it do?
So, this is accessible via your help centre on Student Home. You can generate an application for special circumstances.
And could a special circumstances be just that you're petrified?
No.
So it's best that it's supported with evidence, so some sort of third-party evidence. So be it like a doctor's note, if you've had serious things happen at work that have come up, anything that's had an impact on your revision period leading up to your exam, sort of 3 weeks or around that sort of period leading 3 weeks up to your exam, that's impacted you. You fill in a special circumstances form. That would then go to the module results panel. So it won't change your mark. You get your mark for your exam or your EMA, but they'll then look at that, they'll put like a little asterisk next to it almost. They then look at the special circumstance, go, right, this is the mark, but this was going on, and then it could then, potentially, they could then change the grade boundary or things of that nature.
Yes, particularly if you would be falling, that there's some question mark over the boundary, your grade boundary, and sometimes that can make a difference.
Okay. And the SST you can speak to about whether or not to fill one of those in, and they'd be able to advise you about if that's worth
It's an
it.
online form, though, that there should be a link to it from the student home.
And what if you can't attend your exam?
So, something happened on the day, then there is discretionary postponement. So the car breaks down on the way to the exam, whatever it is.
Or that you're petrified.
Or you're then phone us. Then that's the SST. That's me. That's that's us. That is.
And you'll just say, go on. Do your best, answer the questions. You'll be fine.
Bit of encouragement, maybe.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. And what about, we saw something here about DSA come up in the widgets, and extra support in the exam, particularly if you've got a disability, or even, for example, if you're pregnant or have a very young baby.
Yes.
Yes, if you have particular grounds and circumstances, again, special circumstances, you can have a home exam. So the invigilator will come out to your home.
Wow.
Yeah, there's lots of things that the Open University can accommodate if you've got things that are happening.
And when do you need to put those in place?
So it needs to be early.
Possible,
So for a June exam, so for students that have they've set up maybe disability profiles with us, they'll automatically get emails generated. If it's like an October presentation around January time, contact will be made, and then that will all be started getting put into place then for June. So it is quite ahead of time. Yeah. So if you haven't done this already for June, it might be quite late, pretty late now. But for the future, it's really useful to know that if you do have that profile, it gets automatically generated. You get picked up, and then also if you don't have the profile, contact us early on, and then we can make sure that there are arrangements in place if you need additional breaks, a computer for the exam.
And another good reason to fill in your profile if you have additional requirements.
Yes.
Perfect. Well, Dudley and Jill, you've got through everything I wanted to cover. I answered all our questions. Thank you very, very much. And I'm glad you enjoyed the smoothies. And I feel really guilty now, HJ and Michelle, about not offering you any. Would you like some smoothie?
No, thank you. I have my magic pen and
And we've already been supplied our
moved on.
drinks, ready for exams.
there we go.
You've got
We've
cake
also
as
got.
well.
We
got
have.
cakes. Tell you.
We weren't sure if this is enough or not enough for our exam. I'm thinking it may just get me by that couple
You'll
of
have
hours.
to do a practice run.
Yeah, oh, practice run. There's nothing
That's
virtual
it.
here, I tell you.
I'll do a practice
My
assessment
favourite
later.
pens lined up.
Already, I'm not sure if we
Can
got
you
too
write
much.
well with those, Michelle?
This one makes too much noise. I think you'd get in trouble if you wrote with that. This one is my magic pen, though. It really is. I write very well with that one. The ideas that flow from it are great.
Yeah, we've had a lot of good advice in the chat as well, and we've been writing some of our favourite quotes. We've liked the quote about being kind to your future self. Knowing revision is a process of reduction from your module. And I like Michelle's quotes, plans are life jackets, not straight jackets. So I think we've learned a lot today from our sessions, and it's been great chatting to everyone. As always, there may be stuff that you think later, oh, I should have asked them. But if you want to email us, studenthub@open.ac.uk, we'd love to get back to you, and we'd love to see you at our next sessions as well.
We have a couple of people who haven't taken an exam in more than 38 or 40 years. So we do have a couple of people who are a bit anxious on here.
Oh, and that's understandable. But, you know, it's about enhancing those nerves. And we have some Student Hub Live workshops in Adobe Connect. They're slightly different to these ones. So do sign up for one of those if you'd like to come along, because they will offer you a lot of practical information and also have the opportunity to talk in small groups about stuff as well. Well, thank you, everybody, for today's show. It's been absolutely brilliant. And thank you, everyone at home, for sharing your advice and enthusiasm with each other. You're all going to be absolutely fine in your exams. You really, really will be. Embrace it and do the best that you possibly can do in those situations. And remember, the OU are here to help, so do reach out to your tutor, your student support team, and of course other students around you as well as you go through part of this process. But thank you so much for watching today's programme. We're back this afternoon, so if you've enjoyed this, we're here with the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences. I'm talking about various different things in our Proud at 50 event later today. And there's plenty more lined up in store for you over the summer also. So check out the Student Hub Live website for more information about future opportunities to connect as part of our academic community at the OU. Thank you all for watching, and we hope to see you at an event soon. Bye for now.